Dear Colleen, I would like to write. Can you send me some tips for how to get started? This was an email I got from one of my subscribers on writingandwellness.com. And when I first got it, I was a little puzzled because it seems like the answer is obvious. If you want to write, pull open a computer file, get yourself a pen and paper, and off you go. Simple answer, right? But then I realized I was probably missing something here. She was not just saying she wanted to write. She was saying she wanted to become a writer. If you want to be a writer, this video's for you. The very first thing you have to do is get rid of these lofty ideas about what a writer is. Because that is preventing you from thinking that you could be that person. A writer is nothing more than someone who sits down and writes on a regular basis. If we imagine that there's this big distance between who we are, us little peons who are thinking we'd like to write, and these amazing literary writers who have reached such levels of success, tearing down this image of what an author is in your mind is going to help you to believe that you can be a writer. If you are someone who sits down regularly and writes, and you are practicing and you are trying to get better, then you are a writer. And so try to remove the distance between you and what you think a writer is, and that's the first step toward beginning to be a writer. The second thing that often trips new writers up is this question of, what do I write? The mindset again is the issue. If you're imagining that what you're writing is going to become a book, or is one day going to be on the bookshelves, that's going to put up a block between you and your ability to actually get something on the page. The blank page is intimidating only because of the beliefs that we bring to it. We think that it has to be this or it has to be that, instead of thinking of it just as a playground. This is not a big intimidating book in front of you that you're trying to create. The blank page is simply a playground. If you make yourself a schedule that you're going to sit down every day or every other day at a certain time, even if you just sit there and write Spot ran across the road, but I know you'll write something better than that. But if that's all you write, that's okay. The next day you come back, you're going to have Spot ran across the road on the paper, and you can build on that. Spot saw a cat. Anything you write down is going to lead to something else. And if you keep coming back and you keep sitting in front of that playground, eventually your brain's going to go, oh, she wants me to come up with more ideas. So I'll do that. Spot sees a cat. The cat runs. Spot goes after the cat. The next day you sit down, oh, what happens next? You're going to start to build a story. It's magical how it happens, and it's so much fun. But you have to be willing to get over that initial discomfort, make a promise to yourself that you're going to do it at this time, for this long, on these days, for at least 2 weeks. By that time, you will have created a habit, and a habit is hard to break unless you purposely break it. After 2 weeks, your brain's going to say, it's time to write. How come we're not sitting down at the playground? The more that you do it, the more your brain's going to want to do it. That's how you build momentum. And pretty soon, if you finish the Spot story, I don't really like this Spot story, I'm going to start something else. I'm going to talk about an alien named Christoph. Then off you go on that story. The more you do it, the more ideas you will get, the more fun you will have. The next really big problem that new writers have, you're afraid that whatever you're going to put down is going to be bad. So you're asking your mentors, how do I get started writing? Because the question is really, how do I not write badly? And I'm sorry, there's no way you can get past that without actually doing it. We all write badly in the beginning. It's like if you've had a child start taking trumpet lessons. For the first few months, that trumpet's going to sound like a sick goose, right? It's not going to sound good. And there's no way that that student can skip over the part of sounding like a goose to getting to where they have a lovely tone without actually doing it. So as a writer, you have to think the same thing. Some of your writing is going to be good, no matter what. If you're compelled to write, you're going to have a little bit of good stuff in there. But you have to accept and be kind enough to yourself to say, you know what, I haven't done this before. So it's okay. If it's bad, it's fine. I'm going to write enough that I'm going to go through the bad stuff. Be willing to write badly, and be willing to write badly for a while until you start figuring this out. I want to write, but I don't have time. Do you have any tips for me? Yeah. My tip for you is decide whether writing is going to be one of your top 3 priorities right now in your life. If you can't make it a top 3 priority, then wait until you can. Because if you can't make it a top 3 priority for whatever reason, all you're going to do is frustrate yourself. You're going to keep thinking, I want to write, but I don't have time to write. I want to write, but I don't have time to write. If you're saying to yourself, I don't have time to write, then don't write. Take it off your list. But if you say, well, wait, I want to write, that means that there is something inside you that wants to do this. something inside you that's saying, excuse me, I think this should be one of our top 3 priorities. Realize that if you want to be a writer, you have to commit to it and say, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to write 3 times a week, 20 minutes every morning before I go to work or whatever your schedule is. Make a commitment and then keep that commitment. And that will show you how serious you really are about this writing thing. This last tip I have for you is probably the most important. Say to yourself, why do I want to be a writer? If you have the right reasons, those reasons are going to sustain you for as long as you need to practice, to get better, to get to where you want to be. The wrong reasons are going to leave you frustrated, discouraged, perhaps even depressed, and I don't want to see you go there. What are some of the wrong reasons? I want to make a lot of money. I want to be famous. I want to show so-and-so how special I am. There's nothing wrong with these desires. A lot of writers have them somewhere. The problem is these are not desires you can feed because most of them are out of your control. You cannot control whether you become famous. You cannot control necessarily whether you're going to make a lot of money. The publishing industry is tough. There is a ton of competition out there. The odds are against you for becoming famous or making a lot of money. Yes, there are authors who are doing really well with their author business, but it's often because they have worked super hard and built their business and have at least 10 books published out there. So understand that these are things that are potentially going to lead you to discouragement. The right reasons, the ones that will sustain you, are the ones that come from inside. I love creating stories. I would love to hold my own book in my hands. I enjoy the process of writing, and I would like to make that a bigger part of my life. I see publishing books as something I would like to be a part of my future, and I would like to have readers that would enjoy those stories. I'm hoping you can see a pattern here. Things that you can control, the stories that you write, getting them put out there, creating an author platform, finding some readers, enjoying the process, having a line of books on your shelf. Those are all things that are within your ability to make happen. Ask yourself why at least 5 times. If you really want to be famous, for example, ask yourself why. What are you missing in your life? Where's the hole that needs to be filled? Probably writing a book isn't going to fill it. Or if you really want a lot of money, ask yourself why. And why do you think writing a book is going to do that for you? Because usually it won't. There's a lot of easier ways to make money than writing a book. So ask yourself why and see if your answers are showing someone who is internally compelled to write and will always want to write no matter what, or someone who is looking for outside rewards that may or may not come and that could lead to discouragement. If you want to be a writer and you're not sure where to get started, check out my website at writingandwellness.com and look under Book Doctor. I can help you. I hope this video has given you some things to reflect on. If you do decide to go ahead and write, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear about your progress. See you next time.